What is the price of a dream? For Isabella Rossi, it was the smell of smoke, the taste of fear, and the cold shadow of the Camorra looming over her tiny restaurant in the heart of Naples. They gave her a simple choice: give us your secret, or we will burn your world to the ground. But they underestimated her. They thought she was just a chef. They didn't realize she was the heir to a legacy forged in fire and flavor, a legacy that no one could ever steal.
Our story begins not with fire, but with flour. Long before the threats, there was just Isabella, a young woman with her nonna's worn-out recipe book and a single burning ambition: to create a dish that tasted like home, like the warmth of a Neapolitan summer, the joy of a family meal, the memory of a love that never fades. She poured her life savings into a small, forgotten trattoria on a cobblestone side street, a place locals called the Cursed Corner.
She named it Nonna's Secret. For weeks, the chairs remained empty. Naples has thousands of restaurants, and Isabella had no name, no money for advertising. All she had was faith in one particular dish, a simple pasta, but with a sauce so complex, so vibrant, it felt alive. One evening, a famous food critic, seeking shelter from the rain, stumbled into her restaurant by chance. He ordered the dish. The next morning, his review was published. He didn't just praise the food, he wrote poetry about it. He called it a culinary miracle. Overnight, everything changed. The Cursed Corner became a destination. Lines of people snaked around the block, all waiting for a taste of Nonna's secret. Isabella Rossi, the unknown chef, had become the queen of Naples' culinary scene. But with the light of fame comes the darkness of envy, and in Naples, that darkness has a name. The success was intoxicating. The sound of Nonna's secret was the sound of laughter, of clinking wine glasses, of a dream made real. But one evening, a different sound entered the room. Silence. He was a man who didn't come to eat. Dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, he sat at a corner table, his presence casting a chill over the warm room. He spoke of community and protection, of how a successful business needs powerful friends. He called it a partnership. Isabella knew what it really was: a leash. But Isabella's spine was forged from the same steel as her grandmother's favorite skillet. She inherited not just recipes, but resilience. She looked the man in the eye, smiled politely, and gave her answer. "My only partner," she said, her voice quiet but firm, "is the memory of my nonna. My restaurant needs no other protection." It was a declaration of independence. It was a declaration of war. The retaliation wasn't a gunshot. It was a whisper. A shipment of the finest San Marzano tomatoes, inexplicably rotten. Key ingredients vanishing from the pantry right before the dinner rush. Then the whispers turned digital. Anonymous online reviews suddenly appearing by the dozen, speaking of illness, of tainted food. They weren't just attacking her restaurant anymore. They were attacking her name, the very soul of her business. When the whispers failed, the shadow returned. This time, there were no smiles, no offers of partnership. He sat at the same table, but his voice was cold iron. He didn't talk about the restaurant. He talked about her family. He mentioned her younger brother by name, knew which school he attended, which street he walked home on. The message was no longer hidden in silk words. It was a knife pressed against the heart of everything she loved. For the first time, Isabella felt true fear. That night, the restaurant was silent. The fear had paralyzed her. She stood alone in her kitchen, staring at the copper pots that once brought her so much joy. Now they felt like chains. Was a recipe,
A simple sauce worth the safety of her family? Every instinct screamed for her to give in, to surrender the secret, to let the shadow win. She picked up her Nana's old recipe book, the pages stained and fragile, ready to tear out the one that had brought her both fame and ruin. But the choice was made for her. A sudden crash of glass, the smell of gasoline, and then a roar as the front of her restaurant was engulfed in flames. They didn't wait for her surrender. They had decided to erase her, to turn Nonna's secret into a pile of ash and a cautionary tale whispered on the streets of Naples. Through the smoke, she saw her dream burning, the hand-painted sign collapsing in a shower of sparks. Everything was gone. Standing there, watching the flames, something inside Isabella didn't break. It hardened. A cold, clear rage replaced her fear. They thought they could destroy her by burning down walls and furniture. They thought the secret was a list of ingredients on a piece of paper. They were wrong. The secret wasn't in the book. It was in her hands, in her heart, in the memory of her grandmother's guidance. And in that moment, as the fire brigade sirens wailed in the distance, a new plan was forged in the fire of her anger. A plan so audacious, so public, it was the one thing they would never expect. The next day, the city awoke to the news of the fire. People whispered that the Camorra had finally silenced the chef who dared to defy them. But Isabella wasn't hiding. She walked through the charred remains of her restaurant, salvaged what she could, and made a single phone call. Not to the police, but to the editor of the Naples Daily, the most widely read newspaper in the city. "I have a story for you," she said, her voice steady and clear, "and a recipe."
The front page of the Naples Daily sent a shockwave through the city. There, beneath the photo of the burnt-out restaurant, was a headline that defied all logic. "The recipe for Nonna's secret, a gift to Naples from Isabella Rossi." She had done the unthinkable. She had given it away to everyone. The article detailed the ingredients, the method, everything needed to make the famous sauce. It ended with a simple message from Isabella. "They can burn my walls, but they cannot burn our spirit. Now this recipe belongs to all of us."
The Camorra was stunned. They had built their power on secrets and fear. Isabella had used radical transparency as a weapon. How could they extort a secret that was no longer a secret? That evening, something magical happened. From 1,000 kitchens across Naples, the aroma of Nonna's secret rose into the air. It became an act of silent, delicious defiance. People cooked not just to eat, but to make a stand. The Mafia's power, built on intimidation, crumbled against the collective power of the people. And then came the masterstroke. People tried the recipe. It was good, very good, but it wasn't Isabella's. It was missing something, a touch, an intuition, the final crucial step that she had deliberately left out of the newspaper. The true secret was never just the ingredients. It was the love, the experience, the soul of the chef. By giving away the recipe, she had proven that her value was not in what she knew, but in who she was. With the help of community donations and a city that now saw her as a hero, Isabella rebuilt her restaurant. It was bigger, brighter, and the lines outside were longer than ever. People came not just for the food, but to be in the presence of the woman who fought the shadows with a sauce, who faced down fear with generosity. She had lost a restaurant, but she had gained a kingdom. She had learned the ultimate lesson of success in a world obsessed with protecting ideas, with patents and secrets. Isabella Rossi chose a different path. She taught us that your greatest asset can never be stolen. Your talent, your resilience, your spirit, these are your true secret ingredients. And sometimes The best way to protect what you love is to give it away.